Hello Capricorn, Sun, Rising, and Venus, and welcome to your reading. So Capricorn, today we're going to go over your energy as well as your person's energy. We're going to see how the both of you are currently viewing this relationship and how you guys feel about it and what actions you guys plan on taking each other's direction and are moving forward. So with all that being said, Capricorn, let's get started. What's the overall energy for this connection? All right, so we do have engagement. Okay, I like it so far. Your love life is ascending to a higher level of commitment. Currently at the moment, you could very well be connecting with someone, fairly new. And if you are, this relationship between you and this person, it does have a great deal of potential to the point where, yeah, it could totally lead to higher levels of commitment, between you and this person. This could also represent somebody that you might find yourself meeting very, very soon. For those of you who are currently single and not connecting with anybody currently at the moment. But Capricorn, with all of that being said, we are going to focus on you first, and we'll jump over to your person's energy. Just keep in mind that the roles could be reversed. Also keep in mind time is fluid, so this could either currently be happening or maybe happening on a later date. How does Capricorn currently view this relationship? All right, Capricorn. So we do have the King of Pentacles. We do have the Seven of Pentacles. And then we also have the Page of Pentacles. You could be currently connecting with another Capricorn like yourself, possibly a Virgo, maybe even a Taurus. Doesn't necessarily have to be the case. But the bottom of the deck, we do have the Ten of Swords out here. So it kind of looks like recently something came to an end. Whatever this thing was that came to an end, it was something that you were dumping a lot of your time and energy towards. I am definitely getting that whatever this thing was that you were dumping a lot of your time and energy towards, it was something that more than likely was distracting you from your purpose as well as your goals and the things that you want to accomplish and achieve for yourself. I don't know, like if this was like a marriage or relationship that came to an end, I just kind of feel like you found yourself pouring a lot of yourself into this person, into this connection, to the point where you kind of forgot about yourself. Is basically what I'm getting, but you also kind of lost sight of like your goals and, the things that you want to manifest and create for yourself into fruition. But now that it's done and over with, right, between you and this person, we kind of see you getting back to just simply focusing on yourself, your growth, your expansion, your goals, the things that you want to manifest and create for yourself into fruition. Now, with the King of Pentacles coming out here, don't get caught up in the gender because nothing's gender specific. We all have masculine and feminine energy within us. The main reason why you're harnessing masculine energy right now is because you're being very proactive when it comes down to manifesting, creating the life that you want for yourself. Feminine energies, on the other hand, they're not about, taking action and going after what it is that they want. They sit back waiting to essentially receive, right? You're not sitting around waiting for a miracle to happen. You're not sitting around waiting for, your dreams to come, a reality. You're basically putting forth the time, energy, and effort towards making that happen. Hence why you're harnessing masculine energy. So even if you are, for example, a female, right now you're just kind of leaning far more towards your masculine side right now because you're out here trying to make your dreams a reality, instead of sitting around waiting for someone to make, your dreams come true and, things of that nature. So yeah, the fact that you're showing up as a King of Pentacles, I think that you're still open to the idea of, finding that perfect person for you that you could build and establish a life with. So I don't necessarily feel like this previous experience that you had with this other person caused you to fall into this energy of wanting nothing to do with love, which is a really good thing. It's a really good thing. That's kind of telling me that your relationship with this particular person, although you may have suffered a great deal, it didn't necessarily change your heart or cause you to not want love in your life. So I think that you're open and receptive, towards finding someone that you could build and establish a life with. It would just have to be the perfect person. Like, hands down, it would just have to be the perfect person for you. Because if, for example, you come into contact with somebody who doesn't fit what it is that you're looking for, you're not going to be that type of person that's going to sit there and try to change that person or, waste your time or anything like that. Like, the only way I see you investing your time and energy towards another person would just be, somebody who's your equal, somebody who does fit what it is that you're looking for within a person. If they're not your equal, if they don't fit what it is that you're looking for within a person, you're not going to sit up here, change anybody, or waste your time. It's basically what I'm getting. Okay. How does this person, what was that? Oh, perfect. All right. How does this person currently view this relationship? All right, let's see. So we do have the Ten of Wands for this person. We also have the Four of Swords. We also have the Queen of Pentacles. And then we also have the Six of Cups. Now, the fact that this person that you have yet to meet is showing up as a Queen of Pentacles is a really good sign, because the Queen of Pentacles is perfect for the King of Pentacles, and the King of Pentacles is perfect for the Queen of Pentacles. So with that being said, you're going to meet somebody very, very soon that's going to fit what it is that you truly want and desire within a person. Now, there's something that I do want to kind of warn you about when it comes down to this person that you're going to find yourself connecting with very, very soon, that you will look at as, you know, somebody who's basically perfect for you. With the Ten of Wands to the Four of Swords, I am definitely getting that this relationship with you is going to help this person heal from all of their past, you know, traumas is basically what I'm getting. So what that basically means is this, Capricorn. I think that when this person gets involved with you, I think in the beginning, everything's going to be great. You know, it's going to be butterflies, rainbows, and ponies and stuff. But I think that once this person, you know, starts to realize that, you know, things are getting serious here, you know, between the two of you, I think once this person realizes that they're developing a lot of emotions for you, that's when I kind of see this person, unfortunately, struggling with things that they didn't necessarily fully healed from, is basically what I'm getting. So let's just say that one of the things that you might find yourself having to essentially deal with while being involved with this Queen of Pentacles could have everything to do with them having like massive trust issues due to like past traumas and experiences that they've had with other people. Well, that's something that I see you having to essentially go through throughout the course of your involvement, you know, with them. You know, I feel like this person is putting themselves out there after like a really bad experience in love that they had, but it's kind of stemming from a place of them thinking, oh yeah, like I'm over it. Like I've done the work. I've healed from all of my past traumas. Like I'm good. Let me put myself out there and let me see what happens. But I think that again, once this person starts to realize things are getting serious between the two of you and they start developing emotions for you, I think that that's when the things that they haven't necessarily fully healed from, that they thought they healed from, is going to come up to the surface for them, whether that be their trust issues, their, you know, fear of intimacy, their abandonment issues, whatever have you. It's basically what I'm getting. Now, I also want to kind of throw this out there as well. I don't necessarily feel like this person, wants to project past experiences that they've had with other people onto you in their relationship with you, because that's not your fault. You know what I mean? Like you didn't put them through absolutely anything. So yeah, I am definitely getting that they don't want to project, you know, past experiences that they've had with other people onto you, but they're just going to unfortunately find themselves doing that either which way. Because of everything that's coming up to the surface. And these things that are coming up to the surface are things that this person thought that they've already healed from and dealt with, is basically what I'm getting. You know, this is that type of person that when a relationship comes to an end, they don't like to, you know, put themselves out there immediately. Like they like to take their time to like really like heal from the experience, officially get over it, and then put themselves out there. And it kind of looks like that's what happened, right? That, you know, they went through a really bad experience, you know, they took a massive break from love, they, you know, did the shadow work, they started focusing on themselves, and, you know, there was just this day where this person thought, okay, I think I'm finally over, you know, my past and everything that, you know, my past person put me through. Now it's time for me to put myself out there. And I feel like the moment that they do decide to put themselves out there, they're going to come into contact with you in some way, shape, or form. I'm not entirely sure how you guys are meeting one another. Could be online, could be in person, could be through a mutual friend, but regardless of how you guys are actually meeting one another, they're putting themselves out there because they think, okay, like they're finally ready to date, they're finally ready to build towards something meaningful with someone, because this person feels like they're officially healed. But unfortunately, I think that the more this relationship progresses between the two of you, and the moment they realize that they're developing emotions for you, that's when things are going to start to really come up to the surface for this person. Okay, let's jump back over to you, my friend. How does Capricorn feel? Okay, so we have the Five of Pentacles, we do have the Judgment card, and then we also have the Four of Wands out here. Okay, this to me feels like phases that you're going through. You know, Okay, yeah, this to me kind of feels like phases that you're going through. I feel like this is like the energy that you were kind of like harnessing prior to actually meeting this Queen of Pentacles. So like going back to like the way that you've been living your life, which is a life of you just solely focusing on yourself, your growth, your expansion, your finances, your career, your business if you have one, you know, and just accomplishing and achieving your goals. And I do see you accomplishing and achieving a lot of things, you know, in this life, Capricorn, and manifesting, you know, the things that you essentially want into fruition. But there was like that big part of you that kind of felt like something was like missing out of your life. I mean, you got the career, you got the business, you got the money, you know what I mean? Like you got the degree, you know what I mean? Like you always kind of found yourself essentially feeling like something was essentially missing. In your life is basically what I'm getting. And I think that you're kind of narrowing down that what's actually missing in your life is someone that you can share all these things with and build towards a life with. So we do actually see you finally deciding to actually like put yourself out there as well. And I think that that's when you're going to end up meeting this person. The moment you do decide to put yourself out there, you're just going to find yourself feeling called to do so randomly out of nowhere, because there's a possibility, because I keep getting, you're not against, you know, love. You're not in this anti-love energy whatsoever. I just kind of feel like you've been spending a whole lot of time focusing on your career, focusing on your education, focusing on your business if you have one. Nothing wrong with that, of course, but I feel like these things that you've been investing your time and energy towards doesn't have anything to do with love per se. But nonetheless, it's still taking up a lot of your time and a lot of your energy, to the point where you're not really making yourself as available to finding the perfect person, you know, for you. So we do kind of see you doing something on your end. What? I don't know, but we do see you doing something on your end to make yourself more available to potentially finding, you know, the perfect person for you that you can go off and build, you know, establish a life with, get married to one day, start a family, you know, things of that nature. Okay. So I don't know, like this could be like the epitome of you deciding, you know what, let me go out. You know what I mean? Let me go out and let's see if I meet somebody. Or you know what, let me sign up to this dating app and let's see what happens. You know what I mean? Like you're just doing something on your end that's making yourself more available to essentially finding the perfect person for you in some way, shape, or form. Okay? All right, how does this human currently feel? Ooh. Okay. All right, we have the moon, we have the devil, and then we also have the Hierophant. Okay. This relationship, and I'm being totally honest, this relationship is going to be far from like a walk in the park for this Queen of Pentacles anyways. I am definitely getting that. You know, the things that this person hasn't necessarily fully healed from and or dealt with will unfortunately come up to the surface when this person least expects it. So, like I said, in the beginning, when you guys do meet one another, everything's going to be butterflies, rainbows, ponies. It's going to be great. You know, it's going to feel you guys are on cloud nine. You know what I mean? But I think that once, you know, unfortunately for them, things start to get even more serious here between the two of you, and they start to develop a lot of emotions for you. That's when I kind of see these things coming up to the surface for this person. And it's just going to basically happen out of the blue. They're not going to necessarily see it coming. So let's just say that this is somebody who has like massive trust issues. Well, in the beginning of their relationship with you, they're going to find themselves feeling like they could trust you. They ain't got nothing to worry about when it comes on to you. And then boom, all of a sudden, you know what I mean? All of a sudden, because that's how it's going to play out, they're going to have a hard time trusting you. They're going to have a hard time being vulnerable with you, just due to the fact that they just simply don't trust you. That's kind of how I actually see it playing out on this person's behalf, unfortunately for them. Okay. You know, I feel like there's certain things in this life that we as people can essentially heal from on our own. But I feel like there's certain things that, we can't really fully heal from on our own by ourselves. And I do feel like this person has definitely put in the work to, heal from the things that they experienced prior to getting involved with you. But there's just certain things that I feel like they kind of need help and assistance with, if that makes absolutely any sense. So yeah, with that being said, I do believe that whatever it is that they are struggling with when it comes down to fully healing from are things that you're going to actually help this person out with. Another thing too, why I feel like all of this is happening, yes, it has a lot to do with them thinking, oh, I thought I healed from this, but then they're realizing that they didn't. I also feel like another reason why all of this is happening, well, is because of this, okay? When it comes down to this person in particular being in a relationship with someone, this person has like a very negative association with that. You know, in their previous relationship, it was very toxic. It was very unhealthy. It did cause them to essentially lose themselves, you know, things of that nature. And they busted their ass to get to where they're at currently at the moment, right? You know, Queen of Pentacles is an energy who, you know, it represents an energy of somebody who has a lot going for themselves, somebody who's driven, somebody who's, you know, ambitious, somebody who's career oriented, somebody who believes in themselves, somebody who's confident within themselves. And I don't necessarily feel like this is how they felt when they were with this other individual that they were dealing with. They probably felt the complete opposite. So to walk away from such a toxic and unhealthy relationship, to rebuild yourself all over again, to then end up as a Queen of Pentacles is pretty fucking impressive. I think that it just goes to show how strong of an individual this person actually is, because, you know, not a lot of people are able to essentially bounce back in the ways that this person was able to essentially bounce back, which is something that this person should be very, very proud of, considering, you know, the relationship that they were basically in. But anyways, this person has a very negative association when it comes on to being in a relationship. You got to understand, through their perspective, in their eyes, they view being in a relationship with someone as something that's going to cause them to lose themselves, something that's going to stress them the hell out, something that's going to bring nothing but bad into this individual's life, because that's all they know. Does that make sense? That's all they know. This person doesn't know what it looks like or feels like to be in a healthy relationship with someone who's like the polar opposite of this individual that they were dealing with prior to basically getting involved with you. So I feel like that's another reason why all of this is happening to this person, because in their eyes, you know, they just kind of feel like they're signing themselves up to get hurt again, like this person hurt them from their past, to get betrayed again, deceived again, you know, lose themselves all over again, you know, things of that nature. And that's not obviously what this person, you know, wants. And it's not to say that that's what they're going to go through within their, you know, relationship with you, because you do come off to me as somebody who's very different from this person from their past that they were once upon a time romantically involved with. But more of the story is that that's kind of why this is also happening. But what actions? Okay, so we have the Nine of Pentacles. We have the Page of Swords. We also have the Justice card. And then we also have the Ten of Swords. The bottom of the deck, we do have the Ace of Swords. We got the Two of Wands. And then we also have the Ten of Pentacles. Okay, now, in regards to how you plan on moving forward, let's talk. Okay, I want to focus on this energy really quickly here, because I feel like this is your energy, not necessarily this Queen of Pentacles' energy. This feels like your energy. I think that as time goes by and you really start to get to know this person, you start to find yourself essentially feeling like, okay, like this is somebody that I could see myself building and establishing a life with. And I do see you pushing for that with this Queen of Pentacles. In other words, you're going to find yourself pushing for a full-blown committed relationship to come out of this entire situation between you and this person. Now, let's talk about this person, their energy, and the energy that they're harnessing, okay? With the Ten of Swords to the Justice card to the Page of Swords to the Nine of Pentacles, I do see this person signing themselves up, you know, to pursue you in a life with you. That's not my worry. That's not my concern. What my concern is that this person has found a lot of peace and comfort and security being single and alone, because being single and alone for them basically represents a life full of peace, a life where they don't necessarily have to worry if somebody's playing them, you know, deceiving them, gaslighting them, manipulating them, lying to them. So they found a lot of comfort in being single and alone versus being in a relationship, because again, being in a relationship, you know, for them, if they were to sit here and tell you the story, it would be like the most god-awful thing for a human being to essentially do. But they're just kind of going based off of their own personal experience. Because they had a very negative experience being in a long-term committed relationship with someone, it's not something that I think this person honestly recommends. You know what I mean? Considering everything that they've been through, totally understandable. You know, if this person was in a healthy relationship, you know, I'm pretty sure this person would be all for, you know, being in a relationship and things like that. But even though, like I said, I do see them signing themselves up to be in a full-blown committed relationship with you, it's going to be a struggle. I'm going to be honest. It's going to be a struggle for this person after, you know, they agree to go off and pursue and establish a life with you. It's going to be a massive struggle for them because, again, in their head, they feel like they could be possibly signing themselves up to experience this all over again. This being a toxic and unhealthy relationship that's going to cause them to lose themselves, that's going to cause them to fall into a state of depression, to get involved with somebody who's going to manipulate them, betray them, deceive them, gaslight them. And even though they don't know, you know, if that's exactly how things are going to play out here between, you know, the two of you, they still wonder, like, am I signing myself up to go through the same shit all over again? Or am I signing myself up to go through a whole new experience? Now, to answer this person's question, we do have the Ace of Swords attached to this connection. So this is gonna be a whole new experience for the both of you, but in different ways. Like for at least for you, when I say that it's going to be a new experience, you know, for you, it kind of looks like this is the first time that you're actually pursuing a life with somebody that you're very, 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 very compatible with. Okay. In previous relationships, you could have found yourself pursuing, you know, relationships with people that probably had like, I don't know, like 50% of what you truly wanted and desired within a person. They just kind of lack the other 50%. Well, in this case, you're dealing with somebody who has like a good 90% of what you truly want and desire, you know, within a person. Now, the only reason why I'm saying 90% is because there's going to be 10% of this individual that you're not necessarily going to like, okay? And what that is going to essentially be has a lot to do with their past traumas, because their past traumas will essentially affect the relationship to a certain extent, and it will definitely affect you to a certain extent. And I don't think that you're necessarily going to like it. But even though you're not going to find yourself liking the fact that there's still things that this person needs to essentially heal from, you're still going to want to continue to be with this person and help this person overcome whatever it is that they need to essentially overcome in order for you guys to honestly have a very healthy and stable relationship with one another. So what's going to keep you fighting is the reality that you are basically connecting with somebody who has 90% of what you want and desire within a person. That in itself is fucking hard to find. So even though you may not like the fact that this person has past traumas that they haven't necessarily fully healed from, you're still gonna fight for this. You're still gonna do whatever you can to keep this person in your life and help them in whatever ways you can essentially help them. Because at the end of the day, you know that once they overcome their past traumas, like y'all are gonna have the perfect, you know, relationship is basically what I'm gathering. So it's going to be a new experience for them in a sense where they don't know what it looks like or feels like to be in a relationship with someone who's like the polar opposite of this person that they used to deal with. They don't know what it looks like or what it feels like to be in a healthy relationship, you know, with someone. And they also don't know what it looks like or feels like to be with someone that they're very, very compatible with. So that's the only like similarity that I'm seeing there as far as like this being a new experience for the both of you, is that you guys are finally connecting with someone that you guys mesh very well with, somebody that you guys are very compatible with. That's the one thing that I see the two of you having in common. Now, as far as like, you know, them experiencing a healthy relationship, a stable relationship with somebody who's like the polar opposite of this person's, you know, past, and yeah, that's a little different. I mean, in a way, I do feel like this person's very different, you know, from everybody that you obviously dealt with, you know, obviously, but yeah, it's going to be a whole new experience, you know, for the both of you. Whole new experience. What actions will this person take? We have the Queen of Cups. We do have the Hermit. And then we also have the 10 of Swords. Okay. At the bottom of the deck, we do have the 3 of Pentacles. We got the 7 of Swords. We also have the 4 of Cups. Okay. All right, let's talk. So in regards to how this person plans on moving forward, okay? Right now, everything that this person's going through, as far as like their doubts, reservations, their fears, their concerns, but what if this happens, what if that happens, is something that I do see this person choosing to kind of keep to themselves for right now, okay? There's going to come a point in time, where this person's gonna find themselves being vulnerable, with you and expressing to you their worries and their concerns and things of that nature is basically what I'm gathering, okay? Now, when this person does open up to you and they do become very vulnerable with you and they express to you their worries and their concerns, I do see you reassuring this person. I do see you doing whatever it takes to basically put this person's mind at ease. And I do believe that that is going to definitely help them along this journey. But if it's one thing that I will say, is this, and I'm just kind of going based off of like other readings that I've had throughout the years of doing tarot. At the end of the day, the reason why this person has so much doubts and reservations has a lot to do with everything that they personally have been through, that they need to essentially work on and officially heal from. And yes, I do think that it's great that you're going to help this person along this journey by reassuring this person, doing whatever it takes, to put this person's mind at ease. My thing is, especially if you're resonating with this person to the right of me, try your hardest to not get comfortable with the idea of having this person to the left of me, stop doing certain things that essentially trigger you and or make you, uncomfortable, because that's something that I've been seeing a lot in my readings as of lately. Yeah, it's something that I've definitely been seeing a lot in my readings as of lately. So try to not fall comfortable and or codependent, off of this person to the left of me. There's nothing wrong with like, obviously this person to the left of me helping this person to the right of me. One thing that I've just noticed, especially like with people with like trust issues, for example, like, let's just say that this Queen of Pentacles expresses, to you, right, that it makes them extremely uncomfortable, you going out with like, your friends on the weekend. You know what I mean? Well, to keep this person around and make this person feel safe and make this person feel secure and put their mind at ease, you may stop hanging out with your friends, on the weekend. But what we typically see happen in this type of dynamic is that the list just starts to get longer and longer and longer. After you decide to stop hanging out with your friends on the weekend because it makes this person very, very uncomfortable, because it causes them to think you're doing X, Y, and Z just to put their mind at ease, you decide to stop doing it. Well, you might do something else that might make this person extremely uncomfortable. And they might tell you, hey, that makes me really uncomfortable. Can you please not do that? And just because you want to be with this person, you really do like this person, you're going to be like, yeah, of course, like, no problem. Like, I'll do anything for you, right? And then they find something else. And then you stop doing that too. And then they find something else. And then you stop doing that too. And then they find something else. And then you stop doing that too, to the point where you're going to feel like you're not living life anymore, because this person's placing a boatload of restrictions upon you. So again, there's nothing wrong with you helping this person out on this journey. There's nothing wrong with that, but this person has to make it their mission and priority to face the root of the problem here. So for example, if this person tells you, you know what, I'm not really comfortable with you going out with your friends. Well, what is the reason behind that? You know what I mean? Like, what is the reason behind that? Because what I see you doing, and I understand why you're doing it, is you're instantly putting a bandage over this person's wound. Oh, you don't want me doing that? All right, boom, here's a bandage. You don't got to worry about that. But you're not actually really helping this person heal by putting a bandage over their wound. Like, if this person is uncomfortable, for example, with you going out with your friends, you need to get down to the bottom of, but why is that? You know what I mean? Why is that? You know what I mean? And in order to essentially help this person heal, in order for you to help this person heal, you gotta like push them to get very, very uncomfortable. So for example, let's just say that, you want to go out with your friends this weekend. They're just like, no, I'm not comfortable with that. Well, you coming with me. You know what I mean? And I think that if this person were to come with you and they were to see that you're not up to anything, you know, you're not up to like, you know, anything wrong or whatever the case may be, I think that it's going to help this person see like, okay, they are different, you know, from my ex. I don't really have anything to worry about. You see what I mean? Because these things that this person's going to have to essentially face are things that make this person very uncomfortable. And we all know that we don't like to be uncomfortable. We as humans don't like to be uncomfortable. So with that being said, they're gonna like shy away from coming face to face with these things. You know what I mean? Because there's a possibility that they could have been dealing with somebody, you know, from their past that would go out a lot. You know what I mean? Hang out with their friends a lot, and then they end up finding out that that person was actually out here doing X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? So just to avoid even reliving that experience, you can't go out with your friends anymore. You see what I mean? But instead of you just putting a bandage and be like, yeah, of course, honey, anything you say. You need to be like, no, why don't you come with me? No, I don't want to. Come with me. You ain't got a choice. You know what I mean? Because that's what's going to actually help this person heal by, you know, seeing, you know, with their own freaking eyes that they don't have anything to worry about. But if you just turn around and put a bandage, oh yeah, that's fine, honey. I won't do it. I won't do this. I won't do that. You're not actually helping this person heal. You see what I mean? You're not helping this person heal. You know what I mean? So yeah, like I said, you will help them along this journey. Just try to avoid putting a bandage over this person's wound because it does not help. And if anything, what's going to end up happening is that the list is just going to get longer. You can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this, you can't do that, and you can't do this, and you can't do that either, and you can't do this, and you can't do that, to the point where you're going to find yourself feeling like you're not really living your life. You're not being your true and authentic self because it's being restricted by this person and the things that trigger them and make them uncomfortable, instead of them facing it head on. Like, this is kind of where you kind of come into play and walk side by side, you know, with this person, as they face these things head on. Okay. But yeah, I do think that this person, just needs to kind of face these things head on instead of shying away from it because it's uncomfortable, because it's scary. You see what I mean? Because there's going to be certain things that you do on your end that are going to trigger them and make them uncomfortable, but this has a lot to do with their past and very little to do with you. You know what I mean? But if this person were to come face to face with these things that make them uncomfortable, these things that scare them, I promise you they'll get over it. You know what I mean? And they'll see how they don't have anything to worry about. But if they just shy away from it all the time and also encourage you to not do X, Y, and Z anymore because it makes them uncomfortable, they're always going to feel uncomfortable. They're always going to continue to feel uncomfortable because they're not actually healing from the problem. They're just putting a bandage over it, if that makes any sense. So yeah. And the only person that can honestly, you know, influence this person to really face these things head on is basically you, and honestly themselves. They have to want to get better. They have to want to essentially heal. But unfortunately for them, it does kind of require them to come face to face with things that do trigger them, that do make them uncomfortable. But once they're able to face all of this stuff head on, they're gonna be fine. So I do believe that, you know, them seeking, like, you know, therapy is going to be very, very beneficial for them because, and I'm just going based off of the things that I've seen throughout the years of doing tarot when someone like this shows up in a reading, because this person might fall very codependent off of you to do things to make them feel comfortable, safe, secure, while adding restrictions, you know, upon you. You see what I mean? But if this person were to not place restrictions upon you and just kind of face the actual root of the problem here, and get the proper help that they need, you know, they'll be able to overcome this in no time. But if this person goes down the route of, well, when Capricorn does this, this makes me very uncomfortable, and when Capricorn does that, that makes me very uncomfortable, so Capricorn, you need to stop. You know what I mean? You're not helping this person, and this is not helping them. They think it's helping them because it's removing the discomfort out of their life, but it's not helping them actually fully heal from all of this and overcome all of this, if that makes any sense. They're just kind of sweeping it under the rug or just simply putting a bandage on it. So I do think that this person should kind of lean more so on getting the help that they need, whether it's, you know, through therapy or whatever the case may be. And then obviously having someone like you in their life is also going to essentially help them. But this person cannot, I mean, they can, but I don't recommend that they solely lean on you, you know, to help them with absolutely everything and make them feel safe and make them feel secure. I think that this person should definitely, you know, lean on you to a degree, but also lean on, you know, outside help, like, you know, going to therapy, things of that nature, and working through their problems, because that is a heavy burden for you to essentially carry all by yourself. You know what I mean? So I do feel like this person's going to more than likely need some help and assistance, you know, like for example, like just, you know, going through going to therapy. Because if they dump all of that onto you, it's going to become a lot. You know what I mean? It's going to become a lot. So yeah, that's what I have for you, my friend. Hopefully the reading helped. Hopefully it resonated, and I